All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another PWA Studio Community Sync. Today we have a number of demos lined up from the team. We'll kind of walk our way through those demos. We'll open up for Community Corner, see if there's anything that we want to discuss generally. Open up to any questions for anybody on the line, and then we'll wrap from there and get into our weekend, right? So first up for demos, we have Mr. Kakaban on the line to talk about the new docs theme.
Yep.
Timothy.
Thanks, Andrew. Let me share my screen. Just a quick update with me today. Our dock site does have a fresh coat of paint on it. It looks pretty slick. Kudos to Eugene on our UX team for incorporating Adobe Spectrum design patterns into our docs. I've also reorganized some of the cards in the front to kind of add more link to pages that are more relevant than the previous cards. I've added release notes. I removed the Venia setup because that was confusing people on how to actually get started. So I just linked to the tutorials, which links to the fundamentals section with the basics of PWA Studio. What else? We have linked the release notes to give them more visibility on our site. It just leads to the GitHub release tab. I think that's pretty much it. It's a small update. Are there any questions? Nope.
And you added a small change to make sure that our community maintainers list is updated, right?
Oh, I did, yes. Go on my screen again. Yeah, Lars
There you go.
listed as a maintainer.
It's official, Lars. Your name is
Yep.
on the list.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Jimothy? I also saw this morning a great link to the in the community Slack by Jordan to the new FAQs page to help answer some of those common questions. That was a great value that the FAQ is already delivering, I think. So that was pretty awesome to see as well. Cool. So up next, I think we have Tommy, who's going to talk through his demo for authenticated shipping information.
All right. How's everyone doing? Fine morning.
Hi.
Okay, so continuing on the fun checkout experience, the next thing up was kind of like authenticated shipping information. So the scope of this may seem small, but we added a address book component that's pretty neat. So let me go ahead and just jump into one of my demo systems. So for an authenticated user, get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new account. Change this to something unique so it doesn't complain. All right, so I'm a brand new user. That's probably not the most likely use case. Like somebody's probably not going to create an account until after their first order. But for the sake of this demo, so I'm going to go ahead and adopt this cat Jasper. We're going to jump into the checkout experience. So you should notice that, like off the bat, it looks very similar to the guest checkout, except for now we can pre-fill a lot of information. So we know your email and first and last name, so we can pre-fill that data, and then we can fill in everything else here. Nothing too unique. Maybe I'll talk about it later. No, I'll forewarn you. There's a tiny bug in GraphQL now when it comes to region. Just with customer addresses that I'm working through, I think I found a workaround. But for right now, you're going to see this go from New York to Alabama. Don't worry, it should be fixed by the time we do go live with this. So I'm going to save that. You'll see that the experience from here is still the same, that it jumped into this card view, took you to shipping method. But the big change now is for authenticated users, you now have this concept of like an address book. So when you come into the address book, you see kind of the address you just entered. You can edit it. You can also add a new address. So let's see, Fry's favorite friend, Bender. And you can always like update to make any of these the new default address. So let's add that guy. You'll see Bender is now the default. Kind of resize some things there. Let's see, so, and then edit, you can edit any of these. Let's say like that's actually a 1. And then when you apply, we added this little kind of like indication that something on the page was just updated. I don't know if that came through in Blue Jeans okay. That's really it. Oh, and then of course, everything is very responsive. So you'll see with the desktop view, we want to take advantage of that real estate, and like a mobile view, we push these buttons down to the bottom and it's more of like just a list view. And then the form is still the same, that instead of a modal, it becomes this kind of side drawer. But nothing really changes outside of that. So if I change that back to Fry, see, it goes back and indicates to you that you just updated that information. And then you continue through your checkout. And then outside of that, there's some automation that happens now. So if you are an authenticated user and you hit the checkout, it'll automatically apply your default address. So it's a slight delta there from Luma, where it used to like still make you click through to that. We automatically select it for you. And then if that's not the correct address that you wanted, you step into the address book and add or edit whatever you need there. So that is it. Any questions about the new experience?
Yeah, why is it so beautiful?
Not because of me. It's because of UX. Gave us some great mocks, and we had kind of some great things to work off of. So I'm just the construction worker putting the pieces together, not the designer.
Teamwork, Tommy. Teamwork makes the dream work.
But yes, we've iterated over this a lot. We are trying to like arrive at like some best practices and ways to make this as seamless as possible. So there are still some tweaks that are going to come through too. Like this isn't delivered yet. There's like some tweaks to some headers to make it more a better indicator of like what step in the checkout you're on, things like that. But it should ultimately look like this when it lands, and be a pretty smooth experience.
That's awesome, dude.
Right.
Yeah, this keeps looking better and better. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, when we have that new cart, the new checkout, and then this the new mini cart all together in the app, it's gonna be sweet. All right. Any other questions for Tommy? Cool. Okay. So up next we have Stephen, who's demoing a PR that was contributed to the project, that Stephen has graciously taken across the finish line with the color swatches.
Yeah. So I picked up, what am I looking for? I picked up this PR, I think from Harold, who's with Tech Division, maybe Lars knows him.
Yeah, we did it together at a hackathon in
Oh, okay, cool. This was a hackathon thing. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's been sort of around for a while. We had to wait for swatches to be returned with GraphQL with 2.3.5, so we had this PR sort of placed on hold until then. And instead of trying to get everyone back into context, we just wanted to finish it up. So just directly, it is quite literally just replacing these colors with the random colors that were generated before with the actual response from GraphQL, whatever you've configured in the backend. So you select a color now, it will actually be represented by the image, which is amazing, right? Because for what, a year and a half, 2 years now, we've been developing and using random colors here, and now we finally have the response from the backend that will be used. A cool thing that Harold started and that we decided to also include was using an image. So you can configure a thumbnail image for your product to be represented in the swatch. I don't have a demo of that right now, but if you do, I believe we hard-coded it to be 48 pixels wide, so I wanted to make sure that I called out that thumbnails right now have to be a square so that they fit in the aspect ratio that these swatches have been designed for. But so you'll have you can either provide an image or you can provide the color hex, and that'll be used here. I also just wanted to point out that it's not just on the product page that those swatches are used, but they're also used in the in the cart edit, in MiniCart, and I believe in the new cart as well. So those swatches are all updated. One functional change that I made was that the filters for color no longer use a swatch. So if you remember when we first demoed this, these used to be like the swatches right here, and you could click on one and it would tell you what was selected up and above. But it turns out that the data that we needed to render these swatches, this value here is not available from the GraphQL query for aggregations for colors or for the filters. So when we queried for the possible filters, they tell us that we can filter by gold and that it's a color, but they don't give us a value or a swatch. So just a small change that we had to make here because there's no way to know what color that represents or that it even is a color. But I'm sure it might be something we could add in the future. What else did I do here? I don't really think there's anything major. This is the bulk of that code. We just take that swatch data, and if we have a thumbnail, we use it. Otherwise, we just use the value. Yeah. So that's pretty much swatches. Harold did a good job getting this prep for us. So kudos to him. I don't think he's on the call, but definitely want to thank him for his contribution. Any questions? All right, I will hand it back to Andrew.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. It was a good thing that you happened to work on those filters too, so you could have caught that the color swatches and the filters, huh?
Yeah. I had almost just finished the PR and like handed it off for review, and I thought, wait, there's other swatches in this app, not just on the product page.
Yeah, that was a good catch.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So up next, we have Mr. Zetlin with us to demo, right? That was a terrible intro, but
That's okay.
And here's
my Slack notifications are going off, so I was like staring at Slack at the same time that I was trying to talk. Not a good thing.
That's okay, my man. I will make up for it with trademark eloquence. Can you see this?
Yep.
Cool. Well, you know how npm installed shouldn't work? Who's tried to use npm install with PWA Studio? Some people, right?
Do you need
look at the issue count.
Me.
Super high priority.
It worked bad. Why use Bennyword? Did no good. Now we stop. Oh no. Says this now. For install. That's good. I'm done.
That is the best demo. Really.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
It was
We
only
had
a
a
one-line
bug.
change too, right, Zetlin?
We had a it's a one-line change. You're right. We had a bug that's sort of a few people in community experienced where they'd run npm install, and on the mono repo we have to use yarn because of yarn workspaces. Otherwise, it's not going to install the packages dependencies up in that folder. So they'd run npm install, and then it would appear to install, but then it wouldn't work. Usually you'd get an error where .env wasn't found because the package that uses it, the build pack, doesn't have it. So we added one simple little script. In package JSON. Oh, whoops, I'm not sharing the screen. Yeah. Okay. So you can see we added one little script in package JSON, which does a cross-platform environment variable check. Unlike nicer looking variable checks, this one works on Windows too. So yeah. And then so if the CI variable is not populated, meaning that you're just in your normal dev machine, then it's going to try running this npm is utility. It's just designed for a mono repo that only should work with some package managers. And this pre-install thing is the idea. But it can work with yarn, npm. If you ever want to use this, it's on npm. It's also on yarn. Questions?
No, that's great.
Of course, there's no questions. Utter
I
clarity.
verified it. Works well.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Oh,
James.
are you asking me for any news on APIs? Yeah, we are still in the review process for the pull requests for APIs. You can actually see, Lars, if you want to contribute to it. There's a lot of review. We are really hoping to get it merged ASAP, and I'm already talking to other internal teams about how to use it. But that is not on the schedule. Is there anything after me, Andrew?
There's not, no. So if you want to give a quick update, you can definitely do so.
Oh, sure I can. I'm actually experimenting right now with creating a new repository of PWA Studio experiments. I haven't published it yet, but I'm working on some experiments like what if we applied a Webpack plugin, or what if we tried to update upward with a content security policy. And these are all meant to just kind of demonstrate the kinds of things you should be able to do with targets. And what we expect is that as people work with this, they're going to want to add new targets to core because there's stuff that's missing. And then what we're going to expect, I think, from ourselves and then from the folks who are early adopters is that they write their plugin and then they, at the same time, fork or branch PWA Studio, add their target to our core that they would need to use in their plugin, and then make a pull request that includes that target. And that should get easier and easier because targets are really simple to implement now that the basic idea is there. So if you want to get this into develop as soon as possible, please add your voice to the chorus on this pull request 2298. I'll post it in chat. And that's the only concrete update that I have right now. But I'll answer questions about it. Yeah.
I see Lars typing, so I imagine there's a question coming. Nope, just a
Okay.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. So yeah, if you have any other comments, questions, concerns around the APIs and extensions for Mr. Zetlin there, 2298 is the pull request. Feel free to jump in there and start any dialogue there. So that is the end of the team demos that we had planned. I'd quickly like to just give Jordan or Lars a chance to ask any questions, bring up any topics that might be hot within the community right now around PWA Studio, aka Community Corner. I haven't done that in a while. The graphic, got to figure that out.
I'm still waiting for the graphic though. Maybe I can
gotta
look
do
to some, yeah.
I'll figure it out one of these. And we have all these Adobe products to help us do this kind of video editing, right? And add things like graphics. So
I think
hopefully
James
I'll figure it out.
James actually sent me one like a while back, but I didn't approve it just yet. So anyhow, just like last week, it's been pretty quiet in Slack, more quiet than we'd like it to be. So we don't have anything specific to share.
Okay, yeah. I guess just another plug then, our standard plug for the week. If you're out there watching the video, if you're out there on Slack and you're looking to dive into PWA Studio, or contribute to PWA Studio, start with our docs, start with the community board on GitHub, reach out to Lars, reach out to Jordan, right? Figure out how we can rope you into building some cool features for us, right? Yeah? No? Okay.
Definitely.
All right, so that's it. That's it for the call today. Then we'll wrap things up. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and we will see you. We will not see you next week because there's a official company holiday that got thrown on everyone's calendar. So we will all be out next Friday, but we will catch everyone the following week.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
See you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.